What is OOPS?
OOPS is abbreviated as Object-Oriented Programming System, in which programs are considered as a collection of objects. Each object is nothing but an instance of a class.
What are the basic concepts of OOPS?
1. Abstraction. 2. Encapsulation. 3. Inheritance. 4. Polymorphism.
What is class?
A class is a collection of variables and methods. It is a blueprint of an object. It is a factory to create objects.
What is object?
It is an outcome of a blueprint. It is an instance of a class. Instance means allocating memory for our data members.
Types of objects.
We have two types of objects. 1. Immutable object. 2. Mutable object.
Immutable object.
After object creation, if we perform any changes, then for every change a new object will be created. Such behavior is called a mutable object. Example: string. Wrapper classes.
Mutable object.
After object creation, if we perform any changes, then all the changes will reflect a single object. Such behavior is called mutable object. Example: string buffer. String builder.
What is abstraction?
Hiding the internal implementation and highlighting the set of services is called abstraction. Best example of abstraction is ATM machine, coffee machine, calculator, phone, and etc.
What is encapsulation?
The process of encapsulating or grouping variables and its associate methods in a single entity is called encapsulation. In encapsulation, for every variable, we need to declare setter and getter methods.
What is inheritance?
Inheritance is a mechanism in Java which one class can acquire the properties and methods of another class. This allows code reuse and establishes a relationship between the classes. Using extends keyword, we can implement inheritance.
Types of inheritance.
We have 5 types of inheritance. 1. Single-level inheritance. 2. A multi-level inheritance. 3. Multiple inheritance. 4. Hierarchical inheritance. 5. Hybrid inheritance.
What are the inheritance not support by Java?
Java does not support multiple inheritance and hybrid inheritance.
Why Java does not support multiple inheritance?
There is a chance of raising ambiguity problem. That's why Java does not support multiple inheritance. But from Java 1.8 version onwards, Java supports multiple inheritance through default methods of interface.
What is polymorphism?
Polymorphism has taken from Greek word. Here poly means many and morphism means forms. The ability to represent in different forms is called polymorphism. In Java, polymorphism is categorized into 2 types. 1. Compile-time polymorphism or static polymorphism or early binding. 2. Runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism or late binding.
What is method overloading?
Having same method name with different parameters in a single class is called method overloading. All the methods present in a class are called overloaded methods. Method resolution will taken care by compiler based on reference type.
What is method overriding?
Having same method name with same parameters in 2 different classes is called method overriding. Methods which are present in parent class are called overridden methods. Methods which are present in child class are called overriding methods. Method resolution will taken care by JVM based on runtime objects.
What is singleton class? A class which allows us to create only one object is called singleton class. To declare a singleton class, we required private constructor and static method. What is final class?
If we declare any class as final, then creating child class is not possible. If we declare any class as final, then extending some other class is not possible.
What is hash code?
For every object, JVM will create a unique identifier number, hash code. In order to read hash code, we need to use hashcode, method of object class.
What is constructor?
Constructor is a special method which is used to initialize an object. Having same name as class name is called constructor. A constructor will execute when we create an object.
What is default constructor?
It is a compiler-generated constructor for every Java program, where we are not defining any constructor. To see the default constructor, we need to use below command.
What is marker interface?
An interface which does not have any constants and abstract methods is called marker interface. In general, empty interface is called marker interface. Marker interfaces are empty interfaces, but by using those interfaces, we get some ability to do. Example: serializable, remote.
What is destructor?
A destructor is a method which is automatically called when the object is made of scope or destroyed. Destructor name is also same as class name, but with the tilde symbol before the name.
What is an inline function?
An inline function is a technique used by the compilers and instructs to insert complete body of the function wherever that function is used in the program source code.
What is an abstract class?
An abstract class is a class which cannot be instantiated. Creation of an object is not possible with an abstract class, but it can be inherited. An abstract class can contain only an abstract method. Java allows only abstract method in abstract class, while other languages allow non-abstract method as well.
What is a ternary operator?
The ternary operator is said to be an operator which takes 3 arguments. Arguments and results are of different data types, and it depends on the function. The ternary operator is also called a conditional operator.
What is the super keyword?
The super keyword is used to invoke the overridden method, which overrides one of its superclass methods. This keyword allows to access overridden methods and also to access hidden members of the superclass. It also forwards a call from a constructor to a constructor in the superclass.
What is an interface?
An interface is a collection of an abstract method. If the class implements an interface, it thereby inherits all the abstract methods of an interface. Java uses interface to implement multiple inheritances.
What are tokens?
A compiler recognizes a token, and it cannot be broken down into component elements. Keywords, identifiers, constants, string literals, and operators are examples of tokens.
What is the interface in Java, and how does it relate to OOPS?
An interface in Java defines a contract for classes that implement it. It enforces the implementation of specified methods, promoting a form of polymorphism.
Why is encapsulation important in OOPS?
Encapsulation helps protect data from unauthorized access, ensuring that the internal state of an object can be maintained and controlled.
How is encapsulation achieved in Java?
Encapsulation in Java is achieved by declaring class variables as private and providing public methods, getters and setters, to access and modify those variables.
What is dynamic or runtime polymorphism?
Dynamic or runtime polymorphism occurs when the method that should be invoked is determined at runtime based on the actual object type.
What is the difference between method overloading and method overriding?
Method overloading involves defining methods with the same name but different parameter lists within the same class, while method overriding occurs when a subclass provides a specific implementation for a method already defined in the superclass.
Can a class implement multiple interfaces in Java?
Yes, a class in Java can implement multiple interfaces, allowing it to inherit and define behavior from multiple sources.
What is method hiding in Java, and how does it relate to inheritance?
Method hiding occurs when a subclass defines a static method with the same signature as a static method in its superclass. This method is not subject to polymorphism.
What is composition in OOPS, and how does it differ from inheritance?
Composition is the practice of creating objects of one class inside another class. It differs from inheritance in that it does not establish an is-a relationship, but rather a has-a relationship between classes.
What is inner class?
Sometimes we will declare a class inside another class. Such concept is called inner class. Example: inner class is introduced as a part of event handling to remove GUI bugs. But because of powerful features and benefits of inner classes, programmers started to use inner classes in regular programming code. Inner class does not accept static members, static variable, static method and static block.
What is a constructor chaining in Java, and how does it work with inheritance?
Constructor chaining is the practice of calling one constructor from another constructor within the same class or between base and derived classes. Inheritance allows a subclass to call the constructor of its superclass using super.
What is the protected access modifier in Java, and when is it typically used in OOPS?
The protected access modifier allows access within the same package and by subclasses outside the package. It is typically used when you want to make certain members accessible to subclasses while still restricting access from outside classes.
What is a base class and a derived class in inheritance?
The base class is the class that is being inherited from, while the derived class is the class that inherits the properties and behaviors of the base class.
What are sealed modifiers?
Sealed modifiers are the access modifiers where the methods cannot inherit it. Sealed modifiers can also be applied to properties, events, and methods. This modifier cannot be used to static members.
What is early and late binding?
Early binding refers to the assignment of values to variables during design time, whereas late binding refers to the assignment of values to variables during runtime.
How many instances can be created for an abstract class?
0 instances will be created for an abstract class. In other words, you cannot create an instance of an abstract class.
What are a base class, subclass, and superclass?
The base class is the most generalized class, and it is said to be a root class. A subclass is a class that inherits from one or more base classes. The superclass is the parent class from which another class inherits.
What is static and dynamic binding?
Binding is nothing but the association of a name with the class. Static binding is a binding in which name can be associated with the class during compilation time, and it is also called as early binding. Dynamic binding is a binding in which name can be associated with the class during execution time, and it is also called as late binding.
What is the default access modifier in a class?
The default access modifier of a class is internal and the default access modifier of a class member is private.
Which keyword can be used for overloading?
Operator keyword is used for overloading.
What is the concept of composition reuse as an alternative to inheritance in OOPS?
Composition reuse involves creating classes that contain instances of other classes, allowing for greater flexibility and adaptability compared to traditional inheritance.
What is the finalizer method in Java, and how does it relate to OOPS?
The finalizer method is used for cleanup operations before an object is garbage collected. It's related to OOPS because it's a part of object lifecycle management.
What is multiple inheritance, And how is it implemented in programming languages that support it?
Multiple inheritance is the ability of a class to inherit from multiple base classes. In languages that support it, it can lead to issues like the diamond problem. Solutions include virtual inheritance and interfaces.
What are the three fundamental principles of OOPS, and how do they relate to each other?
The three fundamental principles of OOPS are encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. They work together to promote modularity, reusability, and extensibility in software design.